Hello all, this is John from EastCoastArmory.com and I'm here today with a model showcase video for this 1/35 scale SDKFZ-7/2 German Flak Halftrack. The model that's in this video was built for commission and belongs to a private collector. Like I mentioned in my other commission build videos, I often take on commission build projects from models ranging from 1/35 scale all the way up to 1/6 scale. As for pricing and availability information, that information can be best by contacting me through the email address listed below, which is info@eastcoastarmory.com. The model itself is built mostly out of the box, however, does feature several enhanced detail upgrades as well as some aftermarket parts. We'll be going over these upgrades in this video. The model itself started off as a 1/35 scale Dragon SDKFZ-7/2 Smart Kit. In addition to the kit, some of the aftermarket components include parts from Quick Wheel as well as Eureka XXL. First, a quick walk around the model. Starting with the model's undercarriage, the model features a fully detailed lower suspension as well as chassis detailing. In addition to the chassis detailing, the model also features a very detailed engine compartment. The kit itself is very thorough with its suspension detailing as well as its winch and even spare tire detailing, which can faintly be seen in this video. One addition that I made to the model was the addition of the tow winch cable, which starts here at the rear portion of the vehicle at this small little tow hook. It then enters into the body from the chassis frame into a large spool, which is found just above the muffler. The tow cable detailing winch was not present on the original kit and was added by myself. Not only does the cable enter into the winch, but it's also spooled around the winch to give it better detailing. One nice feature that the kit has is the addition of Magic Track. The track links are workable out of the box and are very useful and assemble and have a nice realistic flow to them, which greatly aids in the vehicle's look. There are aftermarket tracks available on the market, however, I didn't see them necessary on this build due to the high quality of workable track links that come with the kit. One quick tip for anyone who's working on one of these 8-ton half-tracks is that on the road wheels there are small little Zerk fittings that are present on the model's casting. These Zerk fittings get painted with a little bit of red paint to make them highlight, which is a feature that is found on the real vehicle. By simply adding the little red dot to said Zerk fittings really helps the look of the model once complete. The model sprockets also feature a photo etch little collar, which is present on the real vehicle that has a diamond plate type press pattern to them. A little difficult to get into frame, however, this detailing is present on the DML kit in the form of photo etch, and it's a very nice addition to add to the model. One thing as of note though, the photo etch itself is very fragile, and I recommend bending the photo etch around a tube or other cylindrical object that is the same size of the Dragon hub, thus makes installation of the piece a lot more easier. One thing as of note about the tracks, On German Halftracks, the tracks were unique in that they were individual links. However, the tracks themselves had little rubber pads on them. This was present on all German Halftracks, from the Kittenkrad all the way up to the 18-ton Famo. When painting the tracks, I always paint the metal portion a slightly different color than that of the rubber pad, and weather them differently as well. The metal portion has a scratch steel type appearance to them, while the rubber pads have a worn rubber feel to them. Another thing as of note on the sprockets, also this is true for all German Halftracks. German Halftrack sprockets are unique in that they have a rubber tire around the rim, and the sprocket teeth themselves are not necessarily teeth, but are actually small little rollers. When weathering rollers on German Halftracks, I like to go in with a little drop of steel paint around the roller to give it a little bit of a highlight to make it also pop out from the rest of the tank's base coat. Moving our way from the back half of the track to the front road wheels. The front drive wheels are replaced from the kit original with those from Quick Wheel. The Racing Quick Wheel features a nice resin detail tire that has a lot of very fine detailing on it, including the Continental Tire Company, as well as other small little logos. It also features a separate molded hub. The hub installs onto the wheel very realistically, but what's unique about the hub is that the back portion of the hub has its hollow recesses, which are not found on the plastic kit original. The plastic kit supplies you with these soft Dragon styrene rubber tires. Tires themselves are adequate. They are just perfect for installing it out of the box. However, the Quick Wheel is a nice simple upgrade from the kit original, which does add a lot of detail. Also, one nice benefit of getting the Quick Wheel is that it comes with a tire painting mask. The tire painting mask is perfect for size for the Racing Quick Wheel, but is also a perfect size for the kit original tire, which you will need to paint for the installation of the spare tire, which is mounted in the rear portion of the vehicle, like I mentioned earlier. Moving our way to the front of the model, we have here a tow cable, which has been wrapped around the front portion here of the vehicle. This tow cable here is from Eureka XXL and is an aftermarket component. The aftermarket set contains a copper cable as well as two resin eyelets. The copper cable is very easily bent and formed around any object you put it on, which gives it a very nice realistic shape and sag to it. I went ahead and connected the cable to the front tow point that we have here and fabricated a metal tow pin to hold the whole unit together. The cable layout that you see here was requested by the client to be installed in this location as the way you see it here. The client for this build was the removal of the side engine cowling panels from either side of the vehicle. The 8-ton Halftrack had a design which was very similar to a bus or a large truck of that time period, of which the side panel here had louvers on it and would keep the engine bay covered up from any dirt and debris. However, just like anyone who has an old tractor will tell you that getting into access to the engine can be a little bit difficult with the cowling sides in place. So it was common on the field to remove the two side panels to allow better access to the engine, as well as having a lot more cool air flow into the engine, thus help keeping it cooler. The engine itself is the kit original, and the kit supplies you with a very detailed engine, which assembles very nicely and has all of its fittings in place. This also applies to the cabin wall that would be found in the engine compartment. As of note was that while I was building the model, I realized that the stock hood was slightly shorter when placed on the vehicle. Where the hood met the cabin, there was an 1/8 of an inch gap that ran along this location here. What I did was to alleviate this was I added a strip of sheet styrene. The sheet styrene replicates the small little canvas tarpaulin which would be present on the real Halftrack that connects the cabin to the hood. The model itself supplies you with a lot of details that need to be added to the front portion here of the vehicle. These details would include the fender markers, headlights, a no-tech light, a side view mirror, even 98K Mauser racks, which get fitted to the front fenders. These pieces themselves are very fragile when mounted on as per the kit. Namely, the small little fender markers here, which are found on the kit, are so finely molded that when I was removing and deburring them, I was running into issues. So rather than using the fragile kit versions, I went ahead and replaced the plastic ones with metal sewing pins. The sewing pins directly replicate the look of the original kit versions, however, are installed to the model via drilling a small hole into the fender and simply inserting the pin in. The pin itself is a lot more sturdy than the plastic counterpart and has a lot more resistance to any type of snagging or any other type of impact that this piece might encounter due to its high impact location. In addition to the fender markers, pins were also added to the no-tech light as well as even the headlights. This is again due to their high risk location of being hit. The small little wire that's on the inside of them really helps them be a lot more stronger than they would have been if simply just glued right to the model as per the kit intended. One thing that's interesting is that the kit does supply you with the front fender Mauser racks and even illustrates the racks on the box art. However, the kit itself on the instructions does not have this part present. The kit does supply you with the racks as well as two 98K Mausers. Mausers themselves are very nicely detailed and appear to be a direct carryover from one of their 1/35 scale wrestling or plastic kits, figure kits that DML releases. The Mausers themselves feature the rifle as well as an option of having the bolt either in the open or closed position. For the purposes of this build, I left them in the closed position as you wouldn't want to have the action open with the rifle mounted in this location. In addition to the rifles, the runner also has several stripper clips loaded with ammunition. Since I had the pieces on hand, I simply just painted them and supplied them with the model for the client to do with whatever he wishes. The stripper clips have their brass shell casings painted, along with their full metal jackets for the projectiles, and even the stripper clips, which are painted with another color. For the model's headlights, as well as other lighting, the kit supplies you with a lot of clear plastic components. These would include the headlights with very detailed headlight lenses, some side cabin spotlighting, as well as several options for searchlights. The searchlight that we have here, it features a bulb which is made out of epoxy as opposed to the clear plastic component, which has a better domed appearance to it. The set also comes with a clear windshield, which is also very detailed. The windshield comes with several masks to help paint the piece when you're painting the model. In addition to the mask, the windshield also comes with brass photo etch windshield wipers, which really give the model a nice realistic look and is a very nice feature that is supplied as a standard kit piece rather than as an aftermarket upgrade. Moving our way to the model's interior, we'll start with the cabin. The cabin itself features very nicely and finely detailed pieces for all of the controls as well as the pedals, which are found on the 8-ton Halftracks. One addition that I made was to the instrument panel. All of the gauges on the instrument panel, as well as on the other instrument that we have here, were all finely painted, and then were topped off with a epoxy lens to replicate the glass which is found on gauge surfaces. All of the lenses have a domed gauge appearance and really help the look of the model. These pieces all had to have been individually hand-painted and were not part of a decal or any other aftermarket parts that came with the kit. Moving our way to the rear of the Halftrack, these Flak 8-ton Halftracks feature a cage type layout for transport mode. When the gun would be deployed, these pieces would fold down, creating a platform for the crew to stand around the gun. The meshwork that you see here is the kit original and is finally made out of photo etch brass, which is also a very nice feature. The kit comes with the ability to have the model in transport mode or battle mode. The client requested to have his Halftrack in the transport position, and because of that, the cages are all in the up position, as well as the gun shields are in the folded position. In addition to the shields and the cage, the rear crew seats are in the downward position. Now, one thing that had to have been added to the kit was the little rests that are on the bottom of the seats, which hold them up in the transport position. As we can see here, there's a small little strut. This small little strut had to have been scratch built on both sides of the seating to have them sit in the open state. The kit does have these struts molded into the seat, however, are only molded in the upward position, so when you would have the vehicle displayed like this, you don't have the seat struts in the deployed state. The small little addition also adds a lot to the look of the model. To the model's Flak 36mm flak gun. The model includes a very nicely detailed Flak 36. On this model that we see here, the barrel and muzzle brake of the kit original gun were replaced with that of an aluminum and brass aftermarket one. The aluminum barrel and brass muzzle brake are all CNC machined and are very nicely and precisely made. They mate very well with the DML kit gun and are a perfect finish once installed. When it comes to installing the gun, the DML gun and receiver are all one piece and require me to cut off the kit barrel. And as for making the location perfectly squared off for the aluminum counterpart, I went ahead and machined the plastic receiver on the lathe. The lathe ensured a nice flat true surface so that when I installed the aluminum gun barrel, it was a nice straight installation without any canting or cockeyedness of the barrel where it meets the receiver. Another modification I made was to the gun itself. The gun and gun carriage, even though it is replicated here in the storage mode, was modified by myself to be able to pivot on the gun mount. This was facilitated by adding a bolt and nut to the bottom of the gun mount and the carriage. This allows the gun to pivot on the base freely. In addition to having the gun and gun pivot, I was also able to make the travel lock hinged, and so that piece also is fully functional and locks the gun in the storage mode that we have here. Now you have to be careful in that if you want to rotate the gun, you have to disengage the travel lock or else it can cause some serious issues. And that concludes this model showcase video for this 1/35th scale German SDKFZ-7/2 Flak Halftrack. If you like this video, stop by and like us on Facebook. And also, don't forget to check out eastcoastarmory.com for more 1/6 scale tank builds, as well as 1/6 scale detail components. Thank you.